Good morning. I'm Don Kemp, president of the Johns Creek Business Association and co-host of this year's State of the City event. I'd like to welcome everyone this morning. The Johns Creek Business Association is Johns Creek's oldest networking group. We have two functions. We have a monthly networking event and we have a give back program to the community. This year our fundraising event was casino night in this very room to provide funds for scholarships back to Johns Creek for high school or for college-bound high school seniors. I'd like to recognize our board. If our board members would please stand. They put in a lot of work on behalf of the association. Thank you. Now I have the task of introducing Marilyn Margolis, CEO of Emory Johns Creek, the sponsor of this year's event. Marilyn probably needs no introduction. It's my privilege to introduce her anyway. As I looked at her biography, and many of you have heard it before, two things are clearly evident by that. One is service and one is leadership. So when I say service, I mean service to the hospital, service to the growth and the quality of care in the hospital, service to the patients of the hospital, and certainly service to the community. The other thing is leadership. Marilyn's leadership spans the last 35 years. She started as a nurse in the critical care unit. She transitioned to the emergency department as a unit director and has had increasing roles in leadership at Emory Hospital System since then. She came here in March 2011 as the interim chief nursing officer of Emory Johns Creek, and then was named permanent CNO in August of 2011. In 2013, she was promoted to CNO and Chief Vice President of Operations. In 2014, she was named Interim Chief Executive Officer, and then permanent CEO in January of 2015. For her service, Marilyn has been recognized as the Nursing Management's Visionary Leader and Georgia Hospital Association's Lifetime Achievement Award. She has a master's in nursing administration from the Nell Hodson Woodruff Emory University School of Nursing, and she's done postgraduate work at Harvard Business School and the Woodruff Leadership Academy. Please join me this morning in welcoming Marilyn.
Thank you so much, Don. So I have been with Emory Healthcare for 36 years, started at 12, so don't try to be calculating my age out there. And really happy to pick the right place. Early on, I started at Emory University Hospital and was able to continue my professional career all throughout Emory and was lucky enough to end up in Johns Creek. And I remember the day, started out in 2011, my boss came to me and said, do you want to go and be the interim person at Emory Johns Creek? And I said, sure, where's that? I mean, when you live in Decatur, Emory Johns Creek is as people tell us frequently, is a far place. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Johns Creek Business Association. Don, that was really nice of those things that you said. I want to thank the mayor for having such a wonderful presence in the system, and his wife for having her baby at our hospital. The baby and you are so lovely, and we're really happy that worked out so well. So I'm going to start off with a letter. We do this at work. When we get nice letters, we talk to the staff, and I thought this would be a nice way to start my short talk here. So this goes, Dear Miss Margolis, my husband was admitted to Johns Creek 3 weeks ago through the emergency room. Various issues took him from the 4th floor to the ICU in the middle of the night. He was in extremely critical condition. The doctor, who's Dr. Shabir, who's our chief quality officer, worked all night, and finally David had to go on a breathing machine. The outlook was very grim. I'm happy to say that after a week on the 3rd floor, we came home yesterday. The reason I'm writing you is to tell you how incredible your hospital is. Everyone, doctors, nurses, techs, therapists, anesthesiologists, food services, housekeeping, security, social services, made us feel at peace and safe. The people at your hospital are angels. The care they gave David and me could only have come from love of their work and love for others. What could have been an unbearable month was manageable thanks to your caring staff. Thank you for saving David's life. Many people had a hand in that. So when we get those kind of notes, that's what is so important to us, and that's how we want to serve the community. So I'll talk a few minutes about the people that are here and also our relationship to the community. So I really like to thank my colleagues over at the Emory Johns Creek table. They are who I get to work with every day. And it's a blessing to be able to come in and know that I'm going to have a supportive team and people that do care so much about the patients and the families. So if you could take a moment to help me thank them. I'd also like to thank our board, 2 members that are here today. Susan Grissom down here in the front, who's a board member and very good friend. Susan took me under her wing very early on, and I owe a lot to her. And Lynn Riley, Representative Riley, where are you? I see you, is a new board member for us, and we so appreciate your service and really look forward to working with you. So thank you so much. And I saw Liz Hausman here. Congratulations, and thank you for being here. Appreciate that. So in keeping with today's theme, I'm going to talk about the state of Emory Johns Creek Hospital. We're continuing on our journey to expand our services and our physical space. Speaking futuristically, we are looking at doing nothing but building and building. Lori Hansen, our administrator and the person that's responsible for all the building, has more than a full-time job. We're really experiencing unprecedented growth. We're operating right now above the 85th percentile level, and in we hope a year we will apply for a CON to add 2 floors to our hospital. We are so excited about expanding our services, and we already have a plan for the next 5 years. This year, we've added a 2nd cath lab, which we just saw a picture of, a 2nd MRI, and 20 more observation beds. What this means is that you will be able to get the state-of-the-art care quicker. And we are proud to be able to serve the community by being a place where you can come if you have a heart attack or a stroke and get the care that you would get at any large academic institution. It allows us to treat our patients in specific areas designed for their illness, and providers that have the education and training to provide the best therapies possible. The hospital is also adding to our Winship Cancer services. We have the Winship Cancer Leadership over here. It's the only comprehensive cancer program in Georgia. We have infusion beds, medical and surgical oncology beds, and new and innovative clinical trials. Clinical trials are so important to be able to be available in the community because you can get exactly what you need right in your neighborhood. Along with this expansion, we're supporting services that allow you to be in our hospital and not to have to go downtown because, as we know, half of 85 is not there anymore. So we have urology, vascular surgery, neurology, and advanced critical care, all expanded services and staff that will be able to treat you around the clock with physicians. Our baby services continue to grow, and we're up to 110 deliveries a month. When Johns Creek opened, it was 5 deliveries a month. So we've really expanded our services, and this is our 10th year of being in Johns Creek. Through a generous donation from a Johns Creek citizen, we have been able to put baby video cameras in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care, to allow parents to watch their babies grow if they have to go back to work. So that was a wonderful gift for us. At Emory Johns Creek, we continually seek ways to treat these community health concerns by adopting new and sophisticated treatment. We now do wound care to treat hard-to-heal wounds that develop because of blocked arteries, and also in patients that have diabetes. We've implemented advanced minimally invasive procedures, so you don't have to go to surgery, to treat severely blocked peripheral arteries, especially in the lower legs and feet, to reduce the need for more extreme and expensive procedures such as open heart surgery and amputation. We're using robotics now to remove colon and rectal cancers in a very targeted way to improve recovery times and avoid more invasive surgeries. In other words, if you're healthy, we want to keep you that way. If you're at risk, we want to give you the tools you need to prevent a condition from occurring. And if you're critically ill, we want to deliver extraordinary care with unparalleled compassion, with your family serving as part of your total wellness and recovery team. By being in constant contact with the community and each of you, we also want to gain a more personal understanding of how to accomplish these goals. But we also believe that supporting the economic and cultural health of our community is a natural and vital extension of our commitment to patient and family-centered care. So, this is our 10th year, as I mentioned. We're having our 10th anniversary, and we're planning a fundraising gala. I say we, Catherine Albright, our person who's doing our community planning now, is planning that on October 21st on the site of Emory Johns Creek Hospital. We'll have more to come about the gala, and we hope you all can attend. So now I'd like to introduce one of the partners that I work with frequently in the city, who will talk to you about the city's health. He serves as the president of the Johns Creek Chamber of Commerce, and he is someone who truly cares about the city and what the people experience. Please join me in welcoming my mentor and friend, John Beaumont.
Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that very much. Kind words. And on behalf of the Chamber, I'm very happy to be here. This is one of the fun events of the year. It's a great event for Johns Creek, and we are so proud as a Chamber to co-host this with the Johns Creek Business Association, and we appreciate the support of Emory Johns Creek Hospital. I would like the board of the Chamber, if they would, please just stand momentarily, let everybody see who you are. These are our leaders. They help us get things done. Thank you. And we have a couple of our staff members here that worked very hard to put this on, and I hope they welcomed you warmly. I saw them doing that, Laura Houston and Robin Buckley. I think you know them, but please stand. You're right here at the mayor's table. Our chamber was formed the same year as the city in 2006. And we like to continue to be an advocate for business in Johns Creek. Our mission has always been to help our members, our hundreds of members, connect, grow, and thrive. That gives us a big, broad spectrum of ways to serve the community, and we hope to do that well. We hosted over 100 events in 2016. We do networking and monthly activities. We do educational series, initiated a business builders educational series first of the year, which enables us to reach out to all businesses in the community and give them valued instruction and help that they need. Our Small Business Resource Center, which is in partnership with Johns Creek Advantage, is led by Robin Buckley. It provides education and consulting at no cost to both prospective and existing Johns Creek businesses. And we offer connections to business planning, capital solutions, workforce planning, and on and on. And we hope that will continue to be a valued resource in our community. We had our business expo and a new summer camp expo this year, which reached out and showcased so many wonderful Johns Creek businesses. Most importantly, we're grateful for our partnership with the business community, local schools, other nonprofits, the community at large in the city of Johns Creek, and for the opportunity that we have to serve this wonderful community. I would encourage you to look at our website, johnscreekchamber.com, to learn more about us. And now it's my honor and privilege to introduce Mike Bodker, our mayor. He's a native New Yorker, but we'll forgive him for that because he moved at a very early age to the Atlanta area. Went to Lakeside High School and earned his BBA in accounting from the University of Georgia. He was very active in our community prior to taking over as mayor or being elected as mayor. He served on the board and in leadership roles of the Johns Creek Community Association and chair of the Committee for Johns Creek. He was elected our mayor on November the 7th, 2006, and took office December 1st of that year and has remained our mayor ever since. His hard work and dedication to our city has spread well beyond our borders. He served as inaugural chairman of the North Fulton Municipal Association, chair of the North Atlanta Mayors Association, and served on the board as treasurer of the Atlanta Regional Commission. He's the past president of the Georgia Municipal Association and is active in the leadership of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mike, a business consultant, has two twin teenagers, bless you, Jake and Carrie, and is married to Lisa, and we already heard where she had the baby recently, little Emma Kate, and we're pleased that you are here in our city and raise your family here. I'm very pleased to introduce Mike Bodker, our mayor.
Thank you, John. So you've got some goodies at your table. I did want to point them out. The Chamber did a phenomenal job producing this community map. So I hope you'll take an opportunity. You may not want to open it completely while you're sitting here because your neighbors won't like that you're expanding onto their space. And of course, we've got, and I'll refer to it at some point during our talk this morning, our annual report, which we like to give out this time of year. We also have, to remind you, the projects that are going to be being worked on in Johns Creek, the highlights of the T-SPLOST, and on the back, the Parks Bond. So these are all the projects that will be happening over the next number of years. And of course, we've got a little bit of information about what's happening at the city of Johns Creek, and got yourself a little bag clip to go home with. So just wanted to tell you about the goodies that you've got. Also, I realized on my way over here this morning why we set this so early in the morning. Because I thought about it. I said, why do we make people get up so darn early in the morning to come to this speech? And I realized it's the only time, unless we hold it like at midnight, that we can get you to come and there won't be traffic so you won't be pissed when you get here. The other thing I wanted to comment on, because of course I'm going to thank you in a few minutes, but you know, every leader looks to another leader to look for things to do to be a better leader. And I got to tell you, with Marilyn, when we were at the hospital, and we spent, unfortunately, a number of days at the hospital, Emma Kate just really didn't want to come out. But I walked around the hospital with Marilyn a couple of times, and I noted that as Marilyn walks around the hospital, she doesn't look at name tags. She says hello to people by their first name, and she knows everything about their family, their spouse, their family, etc. And I also noticed how comfortable the team at Emory Johns Creek was, partly because of that. And I just want to say, Marilyn, that is a quality that I love and admire. And lastly, I just want to say thank you all for coming. I know we did get you up awfully early in the morning to come out here. Today is going to be a little different. You might notice I'm not wearing a tie. It's not out of disrespect for y'all, but this is actually my normal attire. I actually get very uncomfortable when I put on that tie for council meetings and other formal events, so I'd much rather be a little more casual, so we're going to try that today. We also are going to introduce a new format to the State of the City, which I think you'll notice pretty quickly as we get into it. So with that, maybe I'll clean up after our speakers here, since I see they left their remnants. A phone? Anyone need a phone? A program we probably don't need. Probably don't need about a note for John.
Mr. Mayor,
No
thank
problem.
you so much.
Thank you. Probably needed that phone. Probably should tell you to turn it off as well. Anyways, I want to thank John, of course, for that kind introduction. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. again for the annual State of the City address. I know that you all have busy schedules, so I certainly appreciate the time that you've taken to be here this morning. And just a reminder that there will be time available at the end. I know everyone's dying to get up and get the heck out of here, but there will be time at the end if you'd like for Q&A, which is actually my favorite part when you get to grill me and I get to hopefully give you some honest answers. Each year, we want this address to be the best it can be. We even attempted, which is why I was a little late this morning, some last-minute tweaks to the speech because I'm never really satisfied it's just right. And I'd like to give you a glimpse as to what these sessions are like. So if you'd pay attention to the video screens, maybe you'll get a little glimpse into what the prep for the State of the City is like. Man, I really appreciate you coming out today. We've put a lot of time into making this speech good, but it's not really funny. I was told you know people who can help us make this thing funny.
Seriously.
Yeah, don't you know people?
I'm confused. You called me because you heard I know people that are funny and maybe they could help you out.
That's what they told me. They said you know people.
Look, okay, hopefully I know funny. And to be funny, you talk about what you know. You're the mayor of Johns Creek. So, you know, say something like, if you've spent a third of your life on 141, you might be from Johns Creek.
You think that's going to go over?
Yeah, have you seen the traffic on that's, okay, what about, if you've been around the block 7 times trying to find City Hall, you might be from Johns Creek.
I don't think it'll take people 7 times.
Have you never been back in there and tried to find the police? Okay, what about, if your neighborhood has a rule that requires you to pick up dog poop, you might live in Johns Creek. And then you follow it with something like, I know the dog's confused. The dog's like, wait a minute, you want me to take it back home? Why did we have to walk 3 blocks? I could have pooped in the living room, saved us both some embarrassment. That'll kill, I promise.
I don't know how I'm going to work any of this into the speech. This just isn't working. You know, thanks anyways.
Look, okay, forget everything that I just said. Elected officials aren't funny on purpose. And that's a good thing. You have what you do. So why don't you just stick to what you know and let the funny people be funny?
Man, I got to tell you, I thought you were going to be more help than this. And really, seriously, I got one suggestion. Don't go for a career as a motivational speaker. Anyways, listen, I got to run. I got to get to there. I'm running late. And thanks.
You're welcome. We're going to have to move.
Had you fooled there for a minute, didn't I? This event, of course, wouldn't be possible without the generous sponsorship of Emory Johns Creek Hospital. Under the direction of its CEO, Marilyn Margolis, and under the coordination of Catherine Albright. Without their generous sponsorship, well, we'd probably just be eating Chick-fil-A in the parking lot instead of being at this beautiful event each year. I want to acknowledge the time and effort of the Johns Creek Chamber of Commerce, our host. Thank you, President John Beaumont, Maria Rose, Robin Buckley, Irene Petrie, and Laura Houston. As we have each year, I also want to thank the Johns Creek Business Association as our co-host, led this year by its president, Don Kemp. And as we have each year, let's please thank Kevin Carroll and the wonderful staff here at the Atlanta Athletic Club for providing such an exceptional venue, not just for this speech, but for any event here in the city of Johns Creek. I've got a few people that I'd also like to recognize. First and foremost, my beautiful bride, Lisa Bodker. It was funny when I was practicing this, one of the 2 times that I practiced it before I got here, I noticed there was notes in here about my baby Emma, and I thought to myself, gosh, I hope we're not going to bring baby Emma, because as good as she is, I'm not sure she could sit quiet for this whole speech. She'd probably be bored in the first 5 minutes, and as she will be. Also, I'd like to, of course, recognize and thank our wonderful council, starting with Post 1, Councilmember Lenny Zaprowski. So Lenny, the fact that you're standing back there gives me pause that you're out of here. So thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge Post 2, Councilman Jay Lynn. Post 3, Councilwoman Corey Davenport. Our newest council member, new by 1 week, Post 4, Councilman Chris Coughlin. Post 5, Councilwoman Stephanie Andres. And of course, our Mayor Pro Tem, Steve Broadbent. I don't know that he made it here in the traffic, but we were also supposed to have Speaker of the House, Mark Burkhalter, here, but I think you might see him in a minute. Also, we have our Georgia Revenue Commissioner, my good friend, Lynn Riley. Our State Representative, Brad Raffensperger. State Representative Scott Hilton. Of course, our inaugural council member, now our Fulton County Commissioner, Liz Hausman. And I get a little nervous when this gentleman's in the room because I go to his things, he goes to my things, and the real reason we do it is not because we're supporting each other, we're just trying to steal good ideas. Alpharetta Mayor, David Bellisle. I believe our former council member, Bob Gray, is here. We have Fulton County Development Authority President Al Nash. MARTA Board Representative and Johns Creek resident Frida Hardage. We have our Johns Creek CEO for Johns Creek Advantage, Courtney Bernardi. And of course, anyone who's heard me speak often recognizes that I recognize that the best part of our city is our schools, and we have our Fulton County School Area Superintendent Cliff Jones here. And the person who keeps the county running, and I'll be introducing the folks who keep the city running in a few minutes, Dick Anderson, the county manager for Fulton County. And if I could, I'm very fortunate to have a great team. Besides our city council, we have an exceptional staff at City Hall, and I'd like all of the staff that are here in attendance to please stand and be recognized. And it's great to see so many community organizations, community board members here this morning, and I appreciate all of you being here. In 2016, we took bold steps to tee up 2017 as a truly transformational time in our history. I think the word transformational as a metamorphosis to take the struggle of becoming to something even more fantastic. This will ring true to those of you who predate the incorporation of Johns Creek, as you have seen firsthand our struggle, our progress, and our accomplishments, and oh, how far we've come in just 10 short years. Let's take a look at where we started and where we are today in some significant areas of our city.
When I grew up here, I would ride my bike. I would literally come out of my neighborhood, which dumped out onto Medlock Bridge Road, State Route 141. I would literally just ride out onto the road and never look left or right because we never saw cars. Compared to what we see now, it's just, I mean, before and after pictures is the only way you can tell that story because most people, when I say it, just don't believe it.
It wasn't easy rising to the top, but our shared values and strong desire for exceptional education, award-winning public safety, premier municipal services, and a welcoming, diverse community have collectively transformed Johns Creek into one of the most sought-after cities in the nation. The unsung heroes at City Hall deserve recognition, for they are the ones day in and day out who work to keep us in these top spots, realizing that our city works 24/7. I believe that we have the best staff in the nation. We continually hear from other cities and our own citizens how professional, experienced, and talented our staff are. They're always exploring the latest technologies and ways to improve municipal services that add to our quality of life. From our city manager and assistant city managers to our directors, managers, customer service staff, those in the field, their dedication and commitment to our community is unsurpassed. They go above and beyond each day to ensure that Johns Creek continues to be the exceptional community that it is, and I can't thank you enough for all that you do. Thank you, Warren Hutmacher, for your leadership as our city manager. And while our staff is busy working hard behind the scenes, our more visible heroes in uniform are out and about, risking their lives each day as first responders to keep us all safe. Our public safety professionals maintain a reputation that is unmatched by any city in the state or country, for that matter. As a result, we continue to be recognized as the safest city in Georgia in both 2016 and 2017. And that's no small feat. And we're fortunate to have two great leaders in our police and fire departments who foster teamwork and maintain leadership required for their top-tier organizations. Thank you, Chiefs Densmore and Hogan, for your efforts to keep our residents safe and to develop our public safety personnel into the finest police and firefighting professionals in the nation. They each challenge their respective staffs to remain on the leading edge of training and education to lay a strong foundation for a safer community. The City Council and I have invested to ensure our police and fire departments continue to have the equipment and personnel they need to stay on top. For our police, we've hired 4 additional police officers to address the growing demand for service, and for our fire department, we've ordered a state-of-the-art ladder truck and engine, and they are due to be delivered in November of this year. I'd like to highlight some of the department's accomplishments just in the last year. One of the things that I'm very proud of is the fact that our police department happened to get its 3rd recertification with CALEA, which is in and of itself a pretty big task. Only 10% of law enforcement agencies across the entire United States subject themselves to the rigorous criteria that it takes to be CALEA certified. This is our 3rd recertification. This year, though, we were awarded the CALEA Gold Standard. The gold standard is a step above the CALEA certification. Only 1% of police departments in the entire United States achieve the gold standard. And on top of that, this year, we didn't just get the gold standard, we got the gold standard with excellence. That's 0.5% of all of the law enforcement agencies in the entire United States achieve that pinnacle level. And I'd like to congratulate our police department for the great work that they do. And while they were doing that, they happened to also get their 3rd recertification with the state of Georgia, but that's not so important anymore. Our fire department also is finished their new hiring process, and for the first time, and one of very few fire departments in all of Fulton County, we are fully staffed. So congratulations to our fire department as well. And we also have 4 additional firemen that are going through paramedic school right now, and they should finish up in June. So great things happening in your police and fire departments. And regardless of that state-of-the-art equipment, at the core of public safety are the personnel who make it all successful. And while I can't give away any of their hiring secrets without the risk of other cities stealing our plan, I can provide you a small glimpse into the process. Let's take a look at our own captain, Chris Byers, and his vetting process that includes some tips for potential candidates that may be interested in joining our elite police department.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I have here in my hand today's top 10 list. Today's list is the top 10 things not to do during the application process for police officer. Today's list comes directly from the recruiting office at the Johns Creek Police Department, who assured me that all 10 of these things have actually happened. So here we go. Top 10 things not to do during the application process for police officer. Number 10. When asked if you've ever been arrested, you answer, "Not sure. Can you guys check for me?" Number 9. Attend the physical agility test and have the sheriff's office show up to arrest you on an outstanding warrant. Not good. Number 8. When asked when the last time you did illegal drugs, you state, "On the way here, it calms my nerves." Number 7. Sending your application with a salary requirement of $100,000 a year. It's a police officer position, ladies and gentlemen. Number 6. When asked how many times you smoked pot, you forget, so you simply put the 1970s. Number 5. Attend the written test, back into a police car in the department parking lot, and leave the scene. We know who you are. Number 4. When asked to take a drug test, you ask, "Can I possibly reschedule in 30 days?" Number 3. Call the police department from the jail to see if you can reschedule your interview. Number 2. Have your mom drop you off for the written test and wait for you until you're done. And the number 1 thing not to do during the application process for police officer. When filling out your application, you ask if you can be assigned directly to the narcotics unit because you personally know so many drug dealers. And that today is today's top 10 list, things not to do during the application process for police officer.
I think it's safe to say that none of those people got the job. Thanks again, Captain, for building a great team on the front end so we can be safer on the back end. So here we are. We've reached the same pinnacle that many other cities around our nation have once reached. History is filled with many cities that made it to the top only to later decline. But I envision a different story for Johns Creek. We have the potential to not only be an example of what it takes to reach the top, but to stay there as well. The hard lessons learned by others are what we will use to guide our path for continued success as the premier residential community. So what's next for our city? What will it take to keep us on top? The City Council and I jumped into 2016 with these very questions in mind. We spent much of that year planning, working with our staff, and engaged with the community to move key initiatives forward. During last year's State of the City, I focused more on the city's new mission, vision, and strategic goals, along with the passage of the city's first Strategic Economic Development Plan and our 10-year Strategic Recreation and Parks Master Plan. With an overwhelming strategic vision and goals, along with a blueprint to retain and expand businesses, the City Council next turned its attention to projects such as developing our park system and transportation improvements that have the potential for an equally transformational impact. We completed the purchase of 2 significant park properties that more than doubled the city's green space to over 300 acres. We then initiated a $40 million parks bond, which the residents passed overwhelmingly on this past November's ballot. We then worked with the public to collectively design 5 new parks that the city intends to build. Our goal is to build out these new parks and refurbish our 4 existing parks within the next 5 years, which will transform our park system. To complement the expansion of our park system, we're moving forward with the refurbishment of Rogers Bridge across the Chattahoochee River, which will create a pedestrian and cyclist connectivity to the city of Duluth. These projects will help us achieve our goal of providing premier parks and recreational amenities to children and adults of all ages and capabilities. In addition to the growth in our park system, we're also adding more programming and opportunities for events, such as a recent visit by the Wall That Heals just last month. Our nation owes an immeasurable debt of gratitude to more than 3 million veterans who served in Vietnam. The tens of thousands who made the ultimate sacrifice and to all who returned home more than 40 years ago to a nation in turmoil and were denied a proper welcome. While we cannot undo the past, we have the ability to right a wrong and to ensure that our heroes know how much we value their service, sacrifice, and their courage and commitment to our nation. Of course, over the next 3 days, our residents and others will have the unique opportunity to learn so much more about those who served and pay respect to those whose names are enshrined on the wall that heals.
Wow. The Wall That Heals was an important visit that provided our Vietnam veterans an opportunity for healing and closure. It also provided an opportunity for thousands of others to pay their respects and learn more about those who served in the war. In all, more than 8,700 people from around the region visited the wall over a 4-day period. With the growth of our parks, more of these types of opportunities will become available to our residents. And I'd like to say on a personal note, thank you to all of our veterans for your service to our country. To achieve this, we took a giant step forward last month to aggressively grow and improve our park system, with the city receiving not one, but 2 AAA credit ratings in its first issuance from Moody's and S&P. AAA is the highest possible credit rating an organization or government can receive based on its creditworthiness and ability to meet its financial obligations. These ratings will allow the city of Johns Creek to borrow money at the lowest possible interest rate, saving our taxpayers dollars. It's rare for an organization or government to open with even one AAA rating out of the chute, but Johns Creek got 2. Moody's cited Johns Creek's, and I quote, ample reserve position, low fixed cost, and the city's large tax base with strong socioeconomic factors, its healthy financial position bolstered by fiscal policies and low debt burden among its credit strengths, end quote. In other words, we're in great fiscal shape. It went on to say that the city's financial position is expected to remain healthy due to long-term planning. I could not be more proud of these ratings because they're a direct reflection of 10 years of smart financial management and fiscal responsibility demonstrated by our staff and the collective effort of all past and present city council members. A shout out to our finance director, Tony Joe Howard, and the entire staff for their incredible work to achieve this level of distinction. Of course, this wouldn't be a State of the City address without discussing everybody's favorite topic, traffic. I've come before you each year and talked about our never-ending search for new and innovative ideas to provide traffic congestion relief. And 2017 is the year that we're going to take a much more aggressive approach to tackling this issue. With the passage of the T-Splost in Fulton County, we anticipate the city will collect up to $82 million over the next 5 years, the majority of which is going to be spent on traffic congestion relief. Every major artery in Johns Creek will be addressed with this funding or others. With the explosive growth in the surrounding areas, Forsyth County to our north, Gwinnett County to our east, we have to find innovative solutions to this growing regional issue. Also, our staff is not limited to Johns Creek. We're proud to spread good ideas outside our borders and beyond. For those of you who happen to make that long daily commute into downtown Atlanta, our Public Works team happened to present a great alternative to GDOT that we think will help with the I-85 bridge collapse. Let's take a quick look at what we've got. I think that might do it. As I've said many times, the real solution to this problem is we've got to get out of our cars. We're going to look to the future with autonomous vehicles in mind, ride sharing, encouraging flex hours, or teleworking to keep as many motorists off the road as possible. But at the end of the day, those efforts are likely to take more time before they're going to have a real effect. And in the meantime, we have to plan to maintain close coordination with our surrounding jurisdictions as we work on our current road improvement projects. One guy, Ira Wall, has seemed to figure out a true alternative. He was at some recent meetings about transportation and actually had the nerve to stand up and say that he rides a Greta bus every day to the Doraville MARTA station, and commented that we need more options like this in our city. And I know that many of you might secretly agree with what Ira had to say. By the way, we did attempt to get him some security as he left the building, but I want to commend him for actually walking the walk and taking advantage of some other means to get from point A to point B besides a car. And even though Ira could not be with us this morning, let's give him a round of applause. I'm sure it makes Frida and Al very happy to hear this. And by the way, did y'all even know we had a Greta bus in Johns Creek? Public Works is always at work. In keeping our quality of life, curb appeal, and property values in mind, we are just 1 year away from completing our multi-year neighborhood repaving plan well ahead of schedule. In 2016, we completed 34.1 miles of repaving at a cost of $6.3 million. And recently, we kicked off our 2017 plan with the goal of repaving 25.9 miles at a cost of $5.9 million. And as part of our ongoing intelligent traffic system, our crews will soon be installing new cameras at additional intersections and connect them by fiber optic cable to our traffic control center at City Hall. This is where our traffic engineers monitor and manage traffic flow and signal timing to keep cars moving. We'll also be installing additional flashing yellow lights to improve wait times and movement throughout the summer. As another part of our ongoing effort to improve efficiency in our government operations, the City Council bought an existing building in Technology Park that will eventually serve as the new home for City Hall. For the first time in Johns Creek's history, we're going to consolidate our City Hall, public safety, and municipal court operations under one roof, in one facility, which we believe will improve communications and overall city operations. This consolidation will allow us to create a centralized emergency operations center that is co-located in the city's high-tech traffic control center. With this purchase, the city will realize significant cost savings by converting rent payments into equity through ownership. The exact time frame for this move is still being determined. As we continue to look ahead and plan for the future, we continue to seek resident engagement in shaping the city's comprehensive land use plan, which was first adopted in 2008. We are on track to finalize this important update to our guiding document a full year ahead of schedule. For those not familiar with the comp plan, it's arguably the most critical plan the city maintains. It's designed to outline the vision for the future, as well as lay out strategies for land use, future development, transportation planning, and much, much more. I certainly appreciate all of those who've been involved in the process and have provided input to date. I can't thank you enough. For those who have not, it is not too late to participate. Our comp plan and transportation master plan drafts will be available for public review by the end of this week, so you'll have ample time to provide feedback. Final drafts are anticipated to be reviewed by myself and the City Council during City Council meetings in June. From that point, both drafts will be submitted to the Atlanta Regional Commission for review, with final documents reviewed and approved by us later this fall. Your participation beyond the comp plan is also critical. I understand that we all lead very busy lives, and the fact that you are even here this morning speaks volumes to your commitment to our success. If this is your first time attending a City Council gathering regarding the direction of the city, I hope this marks the beginning of more participation to come. We offer many opportunities for your involvement that spans from arts to zoning. Just last year alone, we conducted more than 100 public meetings in various formats across the city. We formed new task forces with residents that ranged in topics from education to economic development. In all, we offered more opportunities than ever before and invited you to speak out. It's important that we hear your voice in one form or another. And just as much as we take in your complaints, concerns, and even take some pot shots once in a while, we also need you to know that we're doing good things along the way, which helps us keep all of us on the right path. And although as a council or individual council members, we may not always agree with the comments or input we receive, what's most important is that you will be heard. And believe me, I've heard a lot of public comment over the past 10 years. It's hard for me to even imagine that someone could surprise me at this point. And you never know what one seemingly small comment will lead to. So don't be shy, like the following young lady you're about to see, and miss your opportunity to make a real difference in your community.
Hey, Miss, I'm not sure. Could you say your name for us, please?
Xanthi Pahario.
Yeah.
So I'll just get into it. In 1982, a boneless barbecue pork sandwich was introduced to the United States, and it was available for only a limited time during the fall, which is called the McRib. But this year, McDonald's, they decided to give regional managers the power to decide whether to sell the McRib at their locations. And apparently only 55% of McDonald's franchises nationwide have chosen to sell the McRib, which means 45% have decided to skip it, including the Santa Clarita area. And there are 10 McDonald's here in Santa Clarita, and none of them are selling the McRib. To be honest, like the removal of the McRib from the menu has affected my family, because every Thanksgiving, my family would like order a 50-piece chicken McNugget and like 10 McRibs. It was like a tradition in our family. And now it's like, well, like my family's holiday spirit's kind of messed up and broken. So basically what I'm trying to say is I come to you in this matter that I hope you members of the council can help and speak to these McDonald's managers, because I tried calling the hotline and they like don't take me seriously. So I don't know, to me, like Thanksgiving for my family without this like McRib is like a Christmas like without snow. It just doesn't make sense. So thank you for your time and listening, and happy Thanksgiving.
While this was obviously a setup for the council as a joke, the point is, if you're passionate about something, we want to hear about it. Because you can't bring back or move forward your proverbial sandwich unless you're willing to speak up. You know, I get a lot of notes throughout the year, and the kids, by far, are the most generous. I got a few cards that I wanted to point out. And you may not be able to see the fronts of them, but I think we've got them up on the screen for you. I got this little gem. It said, "Dear Mayor Bodker, thank you for coming to our school and teaching us about everything." I didn't even know I knew that much. And then I got this one that said, "Dear Mayor Bodker, thank you for everything. The place has all my favorite parks. Sincerely, fondly, best wishes, a concerned citizen." And then I got this one, and the spelling is very important. It's spelled M-A-Y-E-R, as in John Mayer. "Dear Mayor Bodker, I think you're great, Mayor. I learned a lot about your job. Signed, a concerned citizen." And then I got this one, and I'm pretty sure I had more hair back then. And it said, "I think this, Dear Mayor Bodker, thank you for coming to Findlay Oaks. I learned a lot about voting, and that most people vote only because they're mad. A concerned citizen." I hope that's not the case. I got this one. "Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming to my school and teaching me more about government and explaining what local, state, and federal government does. It helped me understand more so that I can get a good score on my test." I was happy to help our education system. And then finally this one. "Dear Mr. Bodker, I really enjoyed what you said about voting. If people don't vote, they can't complain about anything." Oh, I wish that was the case. And then, folks, there's the adults. They take a slightly different approach to their notes. Here's one. "This city has horrible politicians, horrible police, and horrible people. I guess we're all losers. $10,000 donation to anyone that runs against King Mayor and wins. I'm only worth 10 grand to get rid of. Run by a bunch of clowns. Well, why would we use any other costume character? The others might scare someone. Shame on you, Mayor Bodker. Shame. You, sir, represent all that is wrong with government these days. Give me a break. I can't carry that burden. And my favorite, no one cares about your crappy Creek City. And then this little doozy, and it really answered the question, more trails and greenways? And their comment was, like 141 is such a relaxing environment to unwind on one of those comfortable metal benches while inhaling fumes from the constant traffic jam of commuters in Forsyth County. That's what our adults have to say. So let's end on a positive note. Let me read you a little note, and we tried to put this up on the screen. It was a little difficult to read, so I'm going to read it to you, and I have to read it rather slowly, and if you come up and take a look at this, you'll see the handwriting is interesting. It says, I want turnarounds because I want drivers to go slow. I also want flowers because I want it to look pretty. I want sidewalks because I want to ride my bike. James says he wants ice cream trucks because he wants ice cream. I think this kid had his priorities in order. Look, at the end of the day, we ask that you please keep dialed in to the information that the city continually pushes out via Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, monthly online newsletters, and direct mail. Each communication provides links to our award-winning website that's filled with more information than you will ever need, but it's all there for you to take advantage of. We took unprecedented steps in 2016 to make information available to our residents through various open data portals. Matter of fact, our open data hub, for example, includes dashboards, interactive maps, and the ability to download data for use in other computer applications. There's not another city in Georgia that provides individuals or businesses with the level of depth or assistance in obtaining useful information, and all of it is free. We've also taken our partnership with Waze one step further by becoming the first city in the world to provide business location data, which adds value to both of our local businesses and our residents. Separate from the Open Data Hub, but equally important, is the city's Open Checkbook, which provides residents the ability to track every penny the city spends. It's not transparency for the sake of transparency, it's transparency for the sake of awareness, accountability, and understanding. A recent article by the Johns Creek Herald noted that few cities have tackled transparency with the same innovation, anticipation, and eagerness to embrace new technology as Johns Creek has. I need to recognize the chief architects of this innovation, Nick O'Day, our senior GIS manager, and Jason Willems, our senior IT manager. Our city is incredibly fortunate to have them as part of our amazing team, and our residents and businesses are more than well served by their drive, determination, and constant improvement of transparency. We continue to say that our city is exceptional. It's an ever-present goal and a mindful level of achievement. Let's review what it takes to be exceptional. Safest city in Georgia, nationally recognized schools, a growing parks and recreation system with out-of-the-box designs, financial sustainability, premier municipal services, and the list goes on and on. As your mayor, I work alongside our exceptional city council and staff to maintain this premier residential community while still making us attractive to business. Instead of giving you all the details as we have in the past, I encourage you to review our annual report, which is at your table. You might notice it's a little creative. My ultimate goal as your mayor is to leave behind a thriving, financially stable city, one that embraces culture, diversity, and peace of mind. I remain committed to the ideal of preserving our premier residential character in all that we do. After all, that's what got us here to begin with. On a more personal level, I have 14-year-old twins and an 11-month-old baby girl, and I work hard every day to ensure that they have a better community to grow up in than it was when I first took office 10 years ago. We built this city together. Each and every one of us had a part. We kept to our goals, persevered through doubt and constant change, and found ourselves in a region that continues to evolve. Regardless of where we came from, our socioeconomic backgrounds, our culture, we all want the same thing for our families: security, strong education, and an overall better quality of life. These are the reasons we moved to Johns Creek, and these are the qualities we attempt to preserve each and every day. It is our sense of belonging that builds and defines our community and satisfies the most basic needs of our citizens. More and more, we hear from our youth that they desire more activities to bring us closer together, encourage a closer-knit community, and create ways to interact and appreciate one another that smashes stereotypes. With the plans we have at the beginning of this year and all that has led us to this point, I would say that we are clearly headed in the right direction. So, what is the state of the city? I would say pretty darn strong. Do we face challenges? Of course we do. But as we improve, new challenges are not going to be far behind. And while it's easy to point out the negative, the real task is to be proud of our victories and remain positive in our outlook. Negative never succeeds. It just brings to light what positivity can fix. Without hope and dreams, we wouldn't have even taken the step to create Johns Creek just a short 10 years ago. The challenge would have seemed insurmountable. But in Johns Creek, we have a lot of oars and plenty of positivity to move us forward. For 10 years, I've woken up each and every day, humbled to be your mayor. The sense of responsibility to 83,000 citizens never leaves me, and it's an honor to represent you. I'm excited about the transformational year ahead, and more than anything, I'm optimistic about what it means to the future of our exceptional city. And I know that I'm not alone in carrying this belief in our community.
I've lived in Johns Creek for 10 years, and me and my family love it here. Somebody asked me the other day, if you could live anywhere else, where would it be? And I went, I don't want to live anywhere else. So Mayor and all of the wonderful people that work with you, thank you for the great place that you've made Johns Creek, and I look forward to the next 10 years.
I want to thank fellow resident Jeff Foxworthy for taking the time to do our intro. He is not just a true gem of a man and talented and accomplished comedian, but he's one heck of a nice guy. Lastly, you may have noticed we took a departure this year from the regular format, and I want to thank our communications staff, Jeff Breslau, Jennifer Chapman, Edie Damon, and our brand new video guy, Connor McFadden, our IT guru, Jason, and my chief of staff, Linda Johnson, for coming up with creative, unspeechy ideas to make this such a great event. I think we definitely raised the bar this year. I hope you enjoyed it. We certainly have a lot to be thankful for, and perhaps we've learned something, perhaps you learned something that you may not have known about our exceptional city. Again, thank you for joining me this morning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them. For those of you who want to hit the road, it won't break my heart if you get up, but if anyone has any questions, I'd certainly... Mama Nature, do we have a mic?
Thank you, Mayor.
Hang on one second.
I would like to encourage you all to think in terms of a reduction in the loss of tree coverage. Everyone says, oh, Atlanta's the tree city. It is quickly becoming not so. So I would love the mayor to have a little council going for people that are like master naturalists like me, or master gardeners, or people that just want to care how much they breathe in every day. The trees could filter out. Thank you.
Mama Nature, one of the things that I'm very proud of is, in addition to building active parks, this year you're going to see a very aggressive approach by the city to build passive parks as well and preserve some of that canopy. Any questions? You know, it breaks a politician's heart if you don't ask them.
Over 50% of the workforce now is the millennial generation. And as a business owner, where literally all of my employees come from that up and coming generation, I'm wondering if you could speak to what the future might look like in attracting them to work, live, and play here. Our visiting mayor, city next door, is doing a fantastic job revitalizing their own downtown to attract that next generation of employees and homeowners. And I'm wondering if you can share with us a little bit of our vision so that your daughters, 10 years from now, when they graduate from college, will want to come and live and work here in Johns Creek.
No problem. It's not an easy answer to figure out what does it take for folks to grow up here and want to come back when they get done with their college education. I think a key element of that is recognizing that you have to have different mixes of housing, which I think as a community we're going to have to decide if we're willing to accept. We're very comfortable with our single-family homes and some of the townhomes that have been built. We're a little uncomfortable with other types of housing, and we'll just have to decide if that's something we want. And if not, then we may pay a price, and certain elements of the community may not be attracted to come back. The other thing that we need to recognize is that you have to have certain amenities. And I think what folks have not quite grasped is amenities need other amenities and other things for them to survive. For example, restaurants. We have a phenomenal history of restaurants coming and, more importantly, going in Johns Creek, because restaurants can't survive on just evening business. They need daytime and weekend business as well. And you have to think about, where does that daytime and weekend business come from? And so there's changes that either are or are not going to occur in this community. And I'm going to tell you up front, I'm not the one who's going to determine that. Collectively as a community, especially through this comp plan process, we will determine what does it take and what are we willing to accept and what aren't we. And whatever the citizens say, that should be the answer. So I don't know if years from now we will be the millennial capital of the Atlanta region. We may or may not be. That's a decision that our community will have to take. And if they do, they're going to have to embrace what it takes to bring them here. Other questions?
What is the status of the city center?
The question is, what is the status of the city center? We don't have one. I'd like to think that as we go through this comp plan process, the comp stakeholders group, along with the citizens, will help point to areas where we think it might be. I think it is logical that we won't have just one city center, although there might be one that is actually designated city center, but we might have multiple city centers throughout our city, because that's how we've evolved. I'd also like to think that as our city hall gets built out, along the linear park that we purchased last year, the 20-acre linear park, and there's some vacant land in and around that, we might see a small, lower scale downtown start to develop. And then we'll let history determine in the future what that looks like as time goes on. But there's also many wonderful areas of our city that we're going to do small area studies. And I'd like to think that we won't just develop a downtown, but we'll develop multiple areas that will all be walkable and exciting to go to. Other questions? One last shot, and then you can get the heck out of here. So, awesome. You came with no traffic, and hopefully you're going to leave with no traffic. We're going to have you fooled for one day. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank you for supporting the City of Johns Creek, the wonderful City Council that we have, and most importantly, the incredible staff that we have at Johns Creek. Have a good morning.